All aboard!
If I start smiling, it's because my phone is vibrating.
Next stop, Chicago Junction.
And welcome again to Chicago Junction, the radio program that is about the amazing world of railroading, the many facets of the industry, and model railroading thrown in. I am your announcer, Brian Valou, and here is our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, and the chief electrical engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Bri. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norge on Monday, August the 14th, the year 2017. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Well, thank you, John. Again, our chief dispatcher, Mr. Jack Red Ryan, he is home with some problems, and we're going to miss him tonight. And everybody here wants to send their sorrows to him, and make sure you get well soon.
We love you, John.
Okay. As I am Brian Valou, I am your announcer, and I guess I didn't step back fast enough, and I'm going to be the host here, so you can nail me for it. I am a model railroader, a retired railroader, Navy chief. I belong to several museums pertaining to railroading, with the railroading aspect, and volunteered out at the Garden Railway, and I also do Operation Lifesaver as a presenter, and talk to anybody that'll talk to me about it. I can start a good conversation on the corner. And next to my right, I've got Doug Kenyuk.
Hi, this is Doug Kenyuk, a longtime rail fan, N-scale model railroader, teach computers at Wright College, and an officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago.
I'm Ron Stock, retired library director at Eisenhower Public Library, railroad filmer, and just kind of general knowledge about railroading.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm a model railroader. I'm a retired Chicago police sergeant, longtime Lionel collector and operator, and, interested in the many and varied facets of the railway operation in the United States.
I hear trains in the background. This is Dave DeRuska. I'm a retired locomotive and recovering from being a locomotive engineer. Last place I worked was Metra. I'm also the vice president and program director of the Black Hawk chapter of the National Railway Historical Society. I do our Facebook page, Chicago Junction, as well as a history page for railroads, Chicago Railroad Historians, and I have a blog called Player with Railroads, which talks about the history of Chicago railroads.
So as you can see, we got a diversified crowd here. Now, believe it or not, we do have a Facebook page that Dave takes care of. But if you have any questions or topics that you would like us to talk about, please, the 12 of our listeners here that are listening in, please just make a mention on the Facebook page, and we will definitely talk about it.
Okay.
So let's get started.
All right. I have a bunch of items as usual. Morgan Park. Metro's closing the station there, citing low ticket sales.
No, they're not closing the station. They're pulling the ticket agent.
Pulling the ticket agent, right.
Yeah.
Well, same difference. Pulling the ticket agent, they claim they only sold 1,200 tickets last month there, and a third of those were with Ventra app. So they're pulling out the ticket agent, and Looks like that's the move is to get rid of all the agents at some
I
point.
thought that was the last one. I think they pulled 99th. They pulled 103rd. 103rd, I don't know. 103rd may be open still, but yeah, they've been slowly winnowing it down. Or in the case of 115th Street, which didn't have a ticket agent, they just burned it down.
Right. Yeah, it says here on-site ticket sales were previously eliminated at 91st, 95th, and 99th, and 57th Street. On the Metro Electric line.
Yeah.
So-
57th?
Yeah, that's what it says here.
I never knew they had a ticket agent in 57th.
So that's what it says here in the article. So anyway, that's some more coming. On a side note, Grayland's getting an expanded parking lot. Now, Grayland's in the middle of the northwest side. Why does Metro have to expand the parking lot for it? Of course, the parking lot there only held 6 cars. Now,
Well, they're going to have 10 now.
no, they're taking the whole block from
Oh,
Milwaukee
wow.
to Addison. It's going to be like about 30 or 40 spaces
Wow.
when they're done. So it's like, okay, is that big of a travel downtown from northwest side?
Ravenswood on the UP North line is the 3rd largest passenger loadings of any metro station. If you can imagine that, that's close into downtown.
Yeah, they got a lot of transit
You
options.
have lots of CTA
Yeah.
options there, but that's
And
the
they
third
have
largest.
no ticket agent there.
Yeah, right.
And people from Metro who go around and check the conductors, make sure the ticket crew in the morning, was complaining that the conductor and the collector could not make it through 5 cars. And then couldn't understand why they couldn't make it through, and didn't realize that they were selling tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Metro cleaned up the parking lot north of 95th Street about a month ago, and then just stopped the complete operation. They've got probably an 80-car lot there. It's all cleaned up. It's stone, but it's all cleaned up, and then they just stopped. I don't know if they plan to expand that parking lot or not.
Probably waiting for the paving, because most of their lots are asphalt.
Yeah.
It's concrete.
Yeah, but the little lot that they've got for the 103rd Street station is only maybe 30 cars.
Well, you know, along the branch line, it's parking all along the tracks. Almost every inch of space on either side of the right-of-way is parking. So people, I mean, they have to walk, but yeah, there's no real parking spaces on 103rd on the branch.
I don't believe there's any parking at 99th Street, unless they got some kind of deal worked out where they're parking
No,
over
there
at
isn't.
St. Margaret of Scotland
No.
and walking a block.
Yeah, no, block, like about 5 blocks.
No, it ain't that far.
No, there is no parking at 99. But most of the people that ride that train come from the neighborhood, so it's basically pedestrian traffic.
Okay, well, the Toggle factory reopened in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or just in the suburbs. Right now they're just doing repair work and maintenance work. They got a contract to refurbish all the subway cars from Los Angeles. There's a term that nobody would expect ever to hear. But so they're hoping to get sales. They're hoping that Illinois and Maryland and a couple other ones will buy train sets from them. So that's why they reopened the factory. Hopefully they're even talking about possibly shipping overseas. In other words, selling to other countries from here. So that's interesting news. Well, take your hats off. The Dalton Tower's been demolished. It was demolished on Monday. So some of the stuff has been rescued. It's ended up at the museum in North Judson. The rest of the stuff looks like the interior's been put in storage, but the tower itself is gone now. So anyway, down in Goose Island area, a company called Sterling Bay has been buying up properties left and right because our wonderful mayor has decided that a PMD is no longer going to exist in that corridor, which opens it up for redevelopment and condos and hipster type places. And the latest company to disappear besides Finkel Steel, which moved to the south, and that property is now owned by Sterling Bay, there was a company called Sippy Metals that just got purchased by them. And they were another one that received rail cars. And of course now they're not because they would be kicked out. So Sterling Bay, the PMD stood for Protected Manufacturing District, put in by, I believe, Richard M. Daley. to
Richie the boy.
keep manufacturing there, but manufacturing was still being driven out. So now it's down to where if they remove the PMD designation, now they could put condos and housing and light restaurants and stuff along the river, which has been the plan right along.
Yeah, they're talking about extending that bike trail. What is it, 606?
Into
Over
that
the
area.
northwestern tracks, over where the swing bridges that they
Yep.
used to get into Finkel Steel, and they can't decide whether they want to try to rehab the bridge or if they just want to put a fixed bridge in there.
Well, the problem with that is the Army Corps of Engineers has that river designated as navigable
Okay,
all the way up to
yeah.
Belmont Avenue.
Oh, wow.
So that swing bridge has to be operable because of that.
Right.
Now, having said that, the Damon Avenue Bridge is a fixed bridge now.
Right.
But it can be made movable in 8 hours. That's the deal that the city got with the Army Corps. They could put in a fixed bridge so long as they can make it movable within a 24-hour period in case of a national emergency. I'm thinking, national emergency, this place could be radioactive. I'm not going to worry about a movable bridge. You know, so
They're going to be
Leave
building
your-
PT
leave
boats
your
up there.
flashlight at home.
now I mentioned that because this basically dooms the Chicago terminal operation to Goose Island.
Right.
I mean, that's just everything's gone now. There's no reason for business there any longer.
Well, I would
So-
assume that UP will probably nix the yard at Clyburn, too, their North Avenue yard.
No, North Avenue still serves the Tribune Towers
Okay.
and Bloomer Chocolate.
Oh, all right.
They still lower level Bloomer Chocolate, not upper level.
Right.
And so that's the only 2 customers there that anybody's aware of. So that's the story there. Now, news you guys love. Good old Hunter Harris hit Bar Yard.
Yep.
What's interesting about the story was, all right, sounds like about half or about a third of the people got laid off.
50%.
50%.
Yeah.
And they're worried that he wants to cut the Bar Yard. And towards the end of the story, at least from the website I got it from, was that CXX will reroute freight to other yards, including the Belt. Now, the Belt's already running at 90%, so they're in no position to absorb any real heavy-duty traffic. And as the guy says, they close Bar Yard, that stuff's got to go someplace. Now, we just spent, the last 15 years, $umpteen billion to straighten out rail traffic through Chicago. And now he's going to throw a monkey wrench into that whole thing by closing Bar
Well,
Yard.
I'm convinced he wants to tie the Chicago terminal in complete knots so nothing moves.
So that's the only thing I could see that's going to happen there.
I mean, they're talking about sending some of it to the yard, the old Belt yard, not Belt, but the
IHB one, Riverside.
the EJ&E yard in Indiana. They're shifting stuff over there as well. Now, I don't know what the capacity over there is.
Yeah, we was talking about dumping it on the Belt,
Yeah.
and that'd be fine. Except Belt can't.
Right.
You know, the Belt's in no position to expand.
No.
They're like locked in.
Right.
So I talk about congestion. So that's the story there. You mentioned Siemens locomotives on the Metro line. Well, they're opening a new hub in Newcastle. I think that's in New York. And it's going to be the Internet of Trains facility, where they're going to use the internet. The engine's going to be hooked to the internet, and they could poll the engine to see how it's running, how it's doing, when it needs service, when to call it back, when to send a service notice to the railroad operating it. So it's going to become a high-tech facility for diesel locomotives.
They're going to run psychological profiles on the locomotives too. Are you happy
Well, I'm going to get
today? Is everything
Yeah.
all right? Are you feeling okay?
Probably. Probably. Here, go on Facebook and post me a message, you know. Here's the locomotive number. Are you going to friend me? You know. So
Was the fuel the right mixture?
Right.
So they're talking about the current engines, the ACS 64s are already doing this, reporting back to headquarters, basically phoning home through the internet.
The
letting them know how they
engineer
operate.
was mishandling me.
Had the wrong feeling.
right.
I go there.
He left his hand on the throttle for too long.
All right, interesting. You know how we're talking about everybody getting rid of coal and stuff? You know, the coal industry is dying and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Well, apparently the Reading and Northern Short Line is actually increasing its coal business because they just signed a contract to ship a whole literally a boatload of
Yeah,
coal
right.
to the Ukraine. So they got a contract to ship coal to the Ukraine.
Over 400,000 tons.
Yeah, it says 700,000 in this article.
Okay, 700. Great. It's bigger.
Yeah.
Hey, good old anthracite.
Yep.
See the Ukraine in the
Are those
cattle
long
train.
tons or short tons?
Wonton.
One time.
One time.
So
It's going to be
that's-
one of those nights.
So it's good news that somebody else wants the coal for a while. Isn't anthracite good for steel making?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
why.
it's the purest coal available.
So that's the reason.
I remember Phoebe Snow.
Yep.
Her coat was white. Her dress was white on the route of anthracite.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
Everything's so clean and bright on the road with anthracite.
So that was interesting news about the coal industry. I'm sure they're happy. Now I didn't know this, but remember the trench in California where they run the trains through?
Yeah, the one they made in Long Beach. Yeah.
Right. Well, they extended it. They extended it, and the extension is called the San Gabriel Trench. Just opened.
No kidding.
I didn't even
How
know.
many miles?
1.4. So they eliminated 4 grade crossings in the city of San Gabriel, and it's now connected to the other trench. And now they're waiting for the UP to put the tracks in. The trench is done. No trains yet. So that was interesting news. I didn't even know they were building that, apparently. That was news that snuck up on us.
That's all right. It's California. They didn't know they were building it either.
Well, I got another one for California coming up. We already talked, I think we talked about this last time. GE is moving production to California out of Erie, Pennsylvania.
I thought it was Texas.
Texas, yes. So that's 575 jobs. I know we talked about that.
They're still doing the, research and development out of Erie.
Yeah, they still have over 600 people still working.
Right. They're
Yeah,
just
so
not
it's
doing
just-
the primary construction.
Yeah, the
anymore.
manufacturing's moving. Amtrak and Lyft announced a partnership, so you can order a Lyft car before you get to the station and have it waiting for you. Makes logical sense because if you try to get a cab, good luck.
Yeah, they had a photo of it on the news the other night. Some little tiny car with the Amtrak logo on the right side, on the passenger side of the hood, and the Lyft logo on the driver's side of the hood.
Well, it still
And
it
it was
makes
parked
sense.
on the sidewalk, so I
Yeah.
figured it really was a Lyft car.
Was it a smart car?
It's a pedal car.
The driver wasn't. He parked on the sidewalk.
Well, you know what they say. If you can, go ahead.
Yeah, but you seen how high those sidewalks
Yeah.
are above street level?
That's probably why he's up there now.
Yeah, not coming down anytime soon.
That's right.
Not unless the people help him lift the car up.
Caltran is electrifying their 90-mile commuter service. They just let go of the contracts to start electrification.
So they've managed to get the money back.
Yep. Says they're 82-kilometer routes, so it's about 90 miles.
No, because
No.
when the first
Kilometers shorter than a mile.
yes,
82 kilometers would be right around 47 or 48 miles.
No,
Because 100
kilometers shorter than a mile.
100 kilometers is 62 miles.
I don't have my pocket calculator with me.
Well, whatever. I figure it's about around 90 miles. It's 82 kilometers. Between San Francisco and San Jose, it's a almost $700 million contract. Two substations, 25 kilovolts, 60 hertz overhead.
well, I'm glad that they get the money because after the elections last year, they had 6 Republican come in there because apparently Republicans want nothing to do with trains anyway.
Yeah.
And they said, no, they're not going to do this, and they took the money away, and they tried to, like the Wisconsin governor, it's going to go to the highway. And they're going, no.
Nope. So anyway, it's going to be initially 16 6-car sets they're going to use with an option to buy 96 more.
Wow.
So it's a $551 million contract for the railroad cars to operate the electrified portion of it.
Hopefully Sumitomo is not building them.
And
Oh, definitely.
they expect to be operational by 2021.
Well, that's good.
when Woolworths is open.
No, it's good because actually the people of California got really upset with it because they're saying, well, we want this. You wanted green. You've come up with impossible smog requirements for the locomotives, and you told them that they couldn't make an electric train.
Yeah,
You know, that's like the same message that Mayor Daley used, Daddy, when he took away the electric buses
Yep.
for the smog they were producing.
Before that, there was propane buses. Remember those?
Yeah.
The
They're
only ones that
back
would
in-
operate in the cold weather.
Well, they got the LP, compressed natural gas and hydrogen buses now.
But yeah, the old,
Yeah.
yeah, they were nice buses.
Seeing as we're talking about CTA for a heartbeat, they wrapped 2 of the 3200 series L cars, and they're now zipping around looking like giant hot dogs.
With ketchup?
No. No.
No, but that's what it's going to look like
Are you
after they
trying?
hit somebody.
Are you trying to cause Brian to hit me? Even I know better than to say yes.
What?
Ketchup on a hot
Hot
dog
dog?
in Chicago?
I grew up on the East Coast. Guess what we put on our hot dogs?
Well,
Chili sauce.
Baby poop.
Heinz has marketed here in Chicago a red hot dog sauce
Yes.
for people who can't get tomatoes for their hot dogs.
I know that. It's just basically ketchup in a bottle that says hot dog sauce, but smart marketing. Yeah. Well, with today's millennials, they'll oh look, hey, hot dog sauce. All right.
Now, here's an interesting story. I know you guys were engineers. The FRA decided not to make a rule for apnea.
Sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And Chuck Schumer's now making a fuss about that, saying that all engineers, truck drivers, and anybody else who operates anything on the surface, like bus drivers, should be tested. You guys were engineers, yes or no?
Yes, I think so. Not only that, but you know, part of the problem is people do suffer from sleep apnea, but also the fact that the schedules are so erratic. You know, even if don't have sleep apnea, it's difficult to stay awake at work, especially on freight when you're swinging from days, afternoons, nights, back and forth. You never get the proper rest, and that's part of the problem. And now with everything changing, with now the railroads are running longer trains, cutting down on the number of crews, which means that these guys are going to work even harder and longer. Well, they can't work longer hours, no more than 12, but it's a mess.
No, I actually agree with him on this one. Because even with the rules in place, okay, you get 10 hours rest if you work your 12 hours, and then you finally get 12 hours off. But they'll wake you up. We'll have somebody in there that'll forget, and all of a sudden at the less than the 8 hour mark, somebody will call you to mark you up. They'll try to get you to come in and go to work.
Yeah, they're noted for breaking people's rests. Oh, gee, I forgot. Gee, sorry. Well, anyways, take the call.
Like the old Three Stooges, wake up and go back to sleep.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, here's another thing and I read this. Somebody else made a comment about what's involved in testing every locomotive engineer, conductor, and truck driver in the United States for sleep apnea. And I've been through a sleep apnea test. It's an all-night thing. You have to go there. Who's going to pay for this? Is that up to the railroads and the common carriers, the truck companies and
Exactly.
stuff? What about independent truckers? Is that on the onus on them now to pay for the sleep apnea test to prove that they can hold a commercial driver's license?
Well, you took the test. How do you test for that? Because I know somebody who had this, and I'd be talking to him, he'd fall asleep.
That's a severe case.
He even once fell off the couch at home.
What they do is they hook you up with all these electrodes. They monitor your sleep. Gee, try falling asleep with this huge bunch of electrodes attached to you with a long cable running down. They attach them to your forehead. But what they do is they monitor your sleep through a specified period of time. And they see how many times you wake up, go through these slight awakenings and stuff. And they diagnosed me with sleep apnea. And I don't disagree with it. I know I have it. But then the thing is, CPAP. That's so far one of the few things they have to deal with sleep apnea is a CPAP machine, which is basically a mask and an air thing that pushes air into you to keep the whatever it is in your throat that closes up and causes you to wake up like
Lies.
that. And there are mouth guards and stuff that you can wear too.
Okay.
But it's actually I can understand why they're cutting back on not trying to put this in.
Yeah, well, Schumer was citing a bunch of accidents on Long
Right.
Island as
Oh,
the
yeah.
reason why he wants
Right.
testing. So maybe at the commuter train level, because of the volume of people.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
sure
you've
about
got freight and commuter mixed together, so you
Yeah.
just can't pick on the commuter engineers and say,
Yeah.
well, gee, you have to be compliant, but these people don't.
The commuter engineers are more visible because more people see them on a daily basis.
But the Metra engineers have a little bit more stable of a schedule than the
Yeah.
freight guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if you work a regular scheduled job, yes,
Okay.
you can
But
build
if you're
a life
on the
around
extra board,
it. Yeah,
until you can hold a regular job.
but even if you have sleep apnea, no matter how regular your schedule is, you're not getting the proper amount of rest. So at some point, you're going to doze off. I mean, there's something called micro sleep,
So
which everybody is affected by. If you work for the railroad, you just lose consciousness for a second or two, and you wake up and you go like, gee, what color was that signal
Where
I
am
just
I?
went by? Yeah. No, usually you know where you are, but it's like, what color was the last signal I went by?
Okay. Well, I see this as one of these things that's going to drag out for a couple of
Oh,
years.
yeah.
They're going to fight over this like
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Until they have some really horrendous accident that they prove is attributable to the engineer being afflicted with sleep apnea.
Yeah, I could see them saying, "Oh, you got to be tested every 5 years, every 10 years," or I don't know. Anyway, on a brighter note, Rio Tinto.
How often do engineers have to take a top to bottom physical?
Depends on your age.
Yeah.
Over 60, it's every year, right? And then below that, it's like every 3 years, or is it 2 years?
Well, depending upon the railroad, between 2
Yeah,
and 3.
right.
Okay. Rio Tinto down in Australia is finally going to start running trains without crews. They're going to get the software that's used for driverless cars, and they're going to start using them in their trains starting next year. They're going to start running tests to see if it's going to work or not.
It's
in Australia, though.
It's
so
an ore.
okay.
They
Yeah,
haul
but
ore, right? They're
that's
like an ore
that's
railroad.
That's an ore railroad. That's
it's an ore railroad.
It's dedicated.
So I don't see any problem, but they're talking about running it to their ports and stuff, well, which means they are running it into urban areas. So we'll see what happens. They're talking about starting next year. And the
That's
year
all right.
after
They
that.
were talking on the news last night about aircraft, commercial passenger carrying aircraft with no flight crews
Yep.
in the control cabin.
Yeah, they have it fly it just like they do a drone.
So the senior aviation person on board will be the lead stewardess or steward. Lead flight attendant will be the command pilot or command representative for the company.
Well, they'll have it like an
Southwest
airplane.
is really going to be a good ride.
Well, think airplane. They'll have that blow up down in the front. All right, finally. Okay, Dave, you can start with the smoking noises. A company called Interstate Traveler wants to build what's called a hydrogen superhighway train. I'll send
I've
to
seen
the
it,
staff.
yeah.
And basically, it's just a variation of a maglev that's automated. Their plan is that the right-of-way would be coated with solar cells so that it doesn't pull any electricity from the grid.
I've seen it.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that comes up every so often, but they actually filed with the STB to set up a test track.
I think it's time.
This is going to make for some real interesting grade crossing conflicts.
Oh, no, they're talking about above ground.
Yeah, it's all
following
Everything's above.
following power lines that are all over the place by being under in their right of way or over the interstate.
On that note, I believe it's time for station
go.
identification.
And you are listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVito Broadcast Center on Monday, August the 14th, the year 2017. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich. And now back to Meet Now back to Chicago Junction and our panel.
Meet the morons.
Yeah, meet the morons. There you go.
What a maroon!
Now we are
What a
back
moran.
from commercial break. So I hope you buy any of the products that you've heard about.
All right, talking about products.
All right.
Before Dave actually puts a finger through the helicopter, Menards is running their 11% off sale again this week. So I went on there and clicked on train stuff and panned all the way down to the bottom of the listing to the military section. And the last 4 entries are the 14 and 3/4 inch flat cars, and they have 4 different helicopters they're offering. They're offering an Army Black Hawk, a Navy MH-60R fleet version Black Hawk, Eurocopter in U.S. Coast Guard markings, and they've got an Alaska Railroad with a Canadian helicopter. It's a very nice shade of maize yellow with a very distinct red maple leaf on the side. But they have what appears to be a scribed wood deck. The Navy helicopter is in a light, I guess it's like a seafoam blue. I don't know what the correct shade of blue that would be, with black markings. And it's got something under the short wing that's either a torpedo or something to be dropped into water to listen. I don't know what naval ordnance looks like these days. Maybe Brian could tell me.
Is that a hydrophone?
Yeah,
Okay.
they use it for sub-search.
Anti-sub? Okay. The other thing that I picked up in my travels is wandering aimlessly through Walmart. I do that often, wander aimlessly. And there's a company by the name of Nano Metal Figs, METALFIGS, and they have come out with 26 Harry Potter figures, and then 3 more figures from the Fantastic Beasts, so 29 in all, and they are in O scale. So they have Professor Dumbledore, Professor McGonagall, they've got Snape, they've got 4 different versions of Harry based on what year of school he was in, 3 different versions of Ron, 3 different versions of Ron.
Hermione?
There's 3 of Hermione. They've got the elder brothers Weasley.
Fred.
It's Percy and Arthur. They've got Neville Longbottom.
Arthur is the father.
Okay, then it's the older brother and the father. They've got Neville Longbottom, and I think he's the dork that was the Minister of Magic. They've got Nearly Headless Nick.
Neville Longbottom was one of the. He's the one who killed the Basilisk in the final Harry Potter battle.
Okay.
He was the final Horcrux.
Okay, and there's 5 of them are in Quidditch costumes with their brooms, including Ginny Weasley, and somebody by the name of Marcus Flint. I happen to have Draco Malfoy in his Quidditch outfit with the white trousers and the green waistcoat and the green smock with me. They look really good. They look really good on a train layout. I don't personally have a Hogwarts Express, but I put a little article together for the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club newsletter, and I said there are enough characters and enough variety to populate track 9 3/4 and have a respectable faculty for Hogwarts itself. And shockingly, they're 97 cents a piece. They are offered as singles, and they are offered in 2 5-packs. If you get the 5-packs, there are 2 exclusive figures in each of the 5-packs. Professor McGonagall and Marcus Flint are the exclusives in one, and Arthur and Percy Weasley are the exclusives in the other 5-pack. And if you're not into Harry Potter, they do offer Marvel comic characters and DC comic characters. One of the guys at the club picked up the pack with Superman, and he will look outstanding standing just outside a telephone booth. Because everybody knows Clark Kent runs into the telephone booth to change clothes. But, they're very nice, and at 97 cents, it's hard to go wrong with them. And the 3 from the Fantastic Beasts movie are Newt Scamander, Tina Goldstein, and Jacob Kowalski. So that's all I got on toys to go with your trains.
Well, I'll just have to make sure to bring in the Harry Potter next week.
Please.
Maybe. Yeah.
I had 50s on 5 on my XM radio, and they happened to play Dickie Doo and the Dots, Clickety Clack, and there's actually a line in that song about toy trains. And the 4 lads or the 4 freshmen do a song about the little puffer belly. So in the 50s they was talking about trains, and in the 60s Roger Miller had his song about trains, and Johnny Cash had his song about trains.
What song did Roger Miller have?
King of the Road.
That's about hobos.
Do-whack-a-doo. That's about engineers.
That's engine number 9
Can't
too.
roller skate in the buffalo herd.
That's true. That's true. Engine number 9. 500 miles down the railroad line.
It's funny we're starting to talk about railroad songs. And that happened to be the big topic in Trains Magazine this month.
Yes.
They're talking about some of the music. And the one thing they got right is the oldest railroad song ever written was the march for the laying of the stone for the B&O in 1827. That is the oldest railroad song. And actually, I thought it would be in England.
Something that came up on the radio, they were talking about the song Wabash Cannonball.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, and I'm going to check this with you because you know about all things railroad, that the song predates the actual Wabash Cannonball.
Yes.
Yep. And the song that was the Tuxedo Junction is actually based on a sign that was along the side of, I believe, it was either the New York Central or the Pennsylvania track, announcing a grade crossing called Tuxedo Junction. And that's a great song, whether you get the instrumental version or you get the version done by Manhattan Transfer.
So true.
So there are a couple of things I like other than trains.
Well, it still comes to trains because we're talking about all the different train songs. I went through looking at my record collection, and I could put probably a good 3 discs together of railroad songs not sung by a lot of popular people. Like, did you know Rob McEwen actually had a railroad song?
No.
Yeah. He had a poem, Stain Street and Other Sorrows, with the book. And he had a poem called The Art of Watching Trains. And it talked about how he lived alongside the rail tracks and waved at all the engineers and everything. And then he came out with a song, The Art of to Watch the Trains.
Now, we don't think about how important trains were.
We don't do it today.
Yeah.
like it was done when we were growing up.
Or even when our parents, every once in a while
Yeah,
when my
my
mom
parents.
gets nostalgic, she'll talk about walking home from school and hoping that a steam locomotive would come by and the engineer would accidentally kick a couple of pieces of coal off the floor of the cab, and they'd pick the coal pieces up and bring them home and
Yeah,
use them
they-
to heat the apartment.
Well, they did that a lot during the Depression. Even in the 40s, the same way. Dave, would you like to put us on a track?
Yeah, I can do something. If you were hoping to take Amtrak down to Carbondale to watch the eclipse, you're too late. The Cosmic Wheel train is with 340 passengers sold out in 22 hours. So it seems that Carbondale is a good place to go to see the full eclipse, and Carbondale is the epicenter of all things eclipse in Illinois. It's declared August 21st Eclipse Day and has set up all sorts of activities during the event, including an eclipse marketplace with dozens of vendors hawking wares, the Shadow Fest, a 3-day music festival, and opening SIU's Saluki Stadium for a price to eclipse watchers. Don't look directly at the sun, kids.
If not, just go to the Operation Lifesaver table, and they will have the special glasses for you to wear. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Chip Pugh will be there with a few of the others.
You can go to the NASA website. They should be broadcasting it live. Adler Planetarium is having a special program on that day. I don't know if that's included with the general admission or it's a special secondary ticket. But please make sure you have the right glasses, the ones with the diamond and the letters ISO stamped in the left side piece.
And purchase from authorized sites because there are fakes already out there.
Well, I was in Home Depot on 87th near Stewart, and they had a big 3-foot by 4-foot box of them right by the checkout thing, selling them in Home Depot. So I would say that it's probably a better than fair bet that those are good, because I don't see Home Depot buying into that kind of liability.
I got a story about a train being stolen.
Somebody stole the train.
Somebody stole the train. Yes, sir. On Sunday, Amanda Karsova, who runs a Bay Area company that rents carnival games, posted some distressing news. A 25-foot-long trackless electric train for children, valued at $60,000, had been stolen. The colorful train had been stored in a large black trailer, and that's what was taken from the company parking lot in Pleasant Hill, California. Please keep your eyes out for a large black trailer with a pointed front that looks like the picture I posted below, she wrote on Facebook. Also, please keep your eyes open for the beautiful train. Indeed, people kept their eyes open. On Monday, she received a report of good news. A Facebook user spotted the trailer sitting behind a yoga studio. Only in California, baby. Steal a train and park it behind a yoga studio. Walnut Creek, a couple miles south from where it was taken. The train was still inside. A huge thank you from my entire family, Charsova wrote Monday. Now, kids, this weekend don't need to be disappointed. And McCollum Perkins is gifted a free appearance from the ride at the nonprofit event of her choice. It's the woman who found the train. So she's been gifted a free appearance from the ride at a nonprofit of her choice.
Well, that was very decent of her.
Yeah. So everything turns out in the end.
Good. This coming Saturday, they're having a Sioux steam engine coming into the near the Shriners Hospital at Narragansett. The
Sioux
great
line number 1003.
Yeah.
The wonderful Mikado
Yes.
that'll be arriving in town tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
It's been in Janesville tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What
Thanks
time
for
is it
seeing
coming in, and what yard is it going to be in? Will it be in Bensonville or?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Is the tollway tearing up Bensonville Yard yet?
Well, I don't think so.
They're still arguing over it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be there from 2:15 to 4:30, And so my suggestion would be either arrive at before 2:15, so you see it pulling into the station. I think it's always cool watching steam engines in action, or be there around 4:30 when it's leaving the Galewood. And it's a fundraiser. You don't have to leave a donation, but donations are appreciated. Again, that's this Saturday. Yesterday, I was taping a show on Channel 11. It was called Bridging Urban America, the story of Ralph Majeski, who was a bridge architect. And he was born in, I believe, 1865. And he created many very famous bridges. He did he did both railroad as well as car bridges. The Burlington Northern Bridge, which 9.6 and 8.8 and 8.5, which were done between 1906 to 08. He did the Broadway Bridge in Portland. He also did the Mid-Hudson Bridge, or the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Bridge. In Philadelphia, he did the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. And one of his last bridges that he ended up doing was the San Francisco Bay Bridge. And it was a very good program. I was surprised when I went online to find out more about the DVD. I thought it was it is relatively recent, but according to the copyright date, they had it being done in 2016.
That's recent.
Which is fairly recent.
Yeah, the show repeated again today, this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not scheduled to repeat again, as far as I can see, on Channel 11, unless one of the other PBS stations like 20 or 56 pick it up. But
Right.
yeah, great show.
I was surprised because when I watched it, I hadn't seen it before, so I automatically assumed it was a 217 show. The other thing that was interesting, just for me, I'm Polish, so he is a Polish architect. I guess there's several of us here. The other thing that I also went to, just to change of pace, I went to look for railroad cams and famous kind of like railroad sites, and there is a website which is entitled railservice.com, and it lists both North American as well as various European countries, their railroad sites, as well as Asian railroad sites, where you can get a particular site, click on it, and it'll take you right away to a live cam shot of a particular railroad. A couple of the ones that I ended up looking at least here in the U.S., one was the Bailey Yard, which is in North Platte, which is the biggest railroad yard in the world. And they have a webcam, a live webcam of their switching operations and yard operations, which is the Union Pacific. Another railroad site which I thought had a webcam but actually doesn't have a webcam, but I happen to be at it, is the Tehachapi Loop, which is in California, and it's a circular loop around where the train goes through a tunnel, and oftentimes if it's a long enough train, it'll loop itself in through the tunnel. And that one was quite an engineering feat. It was William Hood was the chief engineer on the site, and it was constructed in 1874, and it opened in 1876. If you're out in California, I highly recommend going to see it. I have a friend of mine who's blind, and although he wasn't there, I have to admit, listening to the trains going up the grade and downgrade. They're two different sound effects, and I think if you were visually impaired, just hearing it's one of the few things that I think if you hear a train, you'd be really impressed by the sounds of these major trains, and they did a lot of unit trains. At least when I was there, there were a couple of container trains that went through, and the sounds are quite different going uphill versus downhill, and with the braking systems employed. And then one for Illinois. Illinois has the Rochelle, Illinois Railroad webcam, and all these sites will be listed on our website. Doug will put them in. Oh, okay.
Oh, I got work to do now.
So anyway, that one features the Union Pacific, and let's see.
BNSF.
Okay, BNSF, and it's having taken Amtrak, the Amtrak train that stops in Rochelle. It's a really nice site for a day visit, or to go out there, one, to see the trains live, but if you can't see them live, you certainly can hit the website and have an opportunity to see railroads in action.
There's one in Chesterton, Indiana, at a place called Riley's Rail House.
Yes.
And the funny aside with that is when they first installed the camera, they had a couple kids come out and vandalize the rail house, broke some windows and stuff, and they caught them on the cam, and they found them locals.
Yes, and across from the tracks, there's 4 South Shore cars that were a restaurant. Right now, the thing is still up for sale.
Right.
And on the same feed, you can go out to Creston, Pennsylvania, and watch trains. And these are the free cameras. The rest are behind a paywall. And then there's one down in Virginia. So I keep watching that one, hoping Bigfoot runs out in front of a train.
And then there was one other one that I went, which is quite famous, is the Horseshoe Curve Railroad, which is near Altoona, Pennsylvania, and used to be the old Pennsylvania railroad that originally owned it. Now it's Norfolk and Western, and they have a webcam up on that site.
Norfolk and Southern.
Oh, Southern. Thank you. So that's about all that I have, and for this thing.
Calling the Norfolk Southern, Norfolk and Western is like calling, calling things the Sears Tower or Marshall Fields, or.
Yeah, but you want to get it by the right name. That's the old name.
Old
right?
name
Wasn't
is fine. We can
Wasn't it,
What you mean, Willis?
We'll be happy to see Norfolk and Western 611 go up around the curve
Okay.
without
nice.
a diesel assist.
Yes, sir. At home, I have a big, overgrown photo poster of the Chessie Steam Special coming around Horseshoe Curve on one of its runs. Beautiful picture. That's the way it's labeled. Whether it was in fact there or not, that's the way the picture is labeled.
Well, the engine, the locomotive that pulled the Chessie Steam Special, the original, did go around Horseshoe Curve pulling the American Freedom Train.
Mm.
Well, this engine is painted up in the Chessie Steam Special logo.
Yeah, so I'd be dying to know where the Horseshoe Curve is on the B&O.
I don't know if it was on B&O trackage or not.
B&O or C&O.
Bring the picture in.
You know, like I
Bring
told,
the picture.
like I told
Please bring the picture.
I told somebody the other day, any train can run on any railroad. You pay trackage.
Please bring
I will,
the picture.
if I can find it underneath all the stuff that my kids have piled on top of it, I will bring it in. I promise.
No, I'd really love to see it.
I will try.
That is the first steam locomotive I worked on.
Oh.
I remember
The
you.
first mainline steam, I did work on it when I was stationed in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time.
You said you were the only guy that showed up properly dressed to work on the engine because you went right from the center in your dungarees.
Hey, we had a great time. No, in meeting the crew, learned a lot. And a lot of the guys, are still doing quite well and still involved with steam.
You got something there, Brian?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of American Freedom Train, the Encore, I think I mentioned that Ross Rowland was coming out with a new train. They called Freedom Train 2.0.
Mhm.
And it was it was going to be called the Yellow Ribbon Express. But they also, when he did the announcement, they were actually in Portland. And they were celebrating the sort of like Freedom Train. They're doing the 40th anniversary of the crew who worked on the American Freedom Train, and who had the 4449 sitting around there because that was one of the engines that ended up getting rebuilt for it and became major star of it. And rumor has it that GM was real happy to use that locomotive because it burned oil. It'd be easy to get. But they couldn't do the clearances in the runch. So Ross Rowland, who actually came up with the original idea, got the sponsors. He went and got the 2101 and sister 2100 in the scrapyard in Baltimore, and in 30 days had an engine that ran. And a steam engine did pull the Freedom Train out of Alexandria, Virginia, to go to its first stop in Wilmington.
The Lionel that I have is the 2101, but you and I go back and forth. There was actually more than one engine,
Yeah.
because I have the Berkshire, and you said yours is the T1.
Yeah, the T1 is the locomotive that pulled the Chessie's Team Special. After she finished, she was a perfectly put together engine and ran quite well and wanted to keep running, so that after the Freedom Train was over, she went to the B&O and C&O for their 150th anniversary and pulled the birthday train. They've got a nice video of it. Too bad she's now in the B&O Museum, painted in American Freedom Train colors. But what cut her short was she was stored in a roundhouse in Silver Grove, Kentucky. In March '79, I woke up the next morning. I was in the hospital getting my hand operated on, Teton work. And there was the engine burning through the night. The whole roundhouse burned down.
Wow.
GP, some track equipment was in board, and along with GP40. And in fact, when they finally got there 3 days later, they had to put a hose in the tender because the coal was still burning that was in it. But that's what put her short her career.
Well, finish up here. I got some September upcoming events. September 2nd through the 4th, Labor Day weekend at the Illinois Rail Museum. Celebrate the end of the summer by joining us for 4 days of Railroad Heritage. The Carousel Organ Association of America returns to IRM. Pack a picnic, ride the trains, and enjoy. The Great Midwest Train Show will be back at the DuPage County Fairgrounds on the 10th. Some small outfit called the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club has an open house on the 16th. East Troy Railroad Museum has a dinner train running on the 16th. The 16th and the 17th, there's the Decatur Train Fair in Decatur, Illinois. Several operating layouts of all scales N to G, 200 plus vendor tables of all scales of railroad equipment, and railroad memorabilia, door prizes hosted by the Decatur, Mount Zion, and Southern Model Railroad Club. 16th and the 17th, the IRM Museum Showcase Weekend. Illinois Railway Museum celebrate the museum collection and honor the members who make it work. Ride and see some of the less frequently run equipment at IRM. Bring your camera and enjoy the weekend. And last but not least, Milwaukee Day, the 23rd of September at the East Troy Trolley Museum. And I will put these up on our Facebook page, and you can check it out.
About a week ago, they marked the 30th anniversary of the movie A League of Their Own, and that was shot at the Illinois Railway Museum using the Decapod and the Zephyr.
And a few other pieces of equipment. Yeah. Well, the old clock on the wall says we pulled into the station, so I believe it's time we say goodbye. Doug?
Signing off.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Yes.
If His Eminence was here, he would wish you all happy rails to you. So until we have him back, hopefully next time, happy rails to you.
As our express comes into the station, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all of our past episodes, and also sample some of the other programs that are being offered. This is your announcer, Brian Ballou. Till next month, when we journey to Chicago Junction, as been said before, happy rails to you.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Monday, August the 14th, the year 2017. Chicago Junction was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVita, and a special thanks to our radio station manager, Kevin Zefik of WRHS FM Norwich, and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikanda. This program was pre-recorded on Thursday, August the 10th, the year 2017. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois.